Alright, before I start this video, I will tell you, yes, I did get a driver's license. Not right when I turned 16. I got it a little bit late because I was being stubborn, but for identification purposes, got a car or ran errands or whatever. But never owned a car or never want to be graced with being a slave to the Department of Motor Vehicles. But I'll tell you one thing before I start this video. 4 years ago when I upgraded to my own place, I had a very interesting adventure. Renting a truck and managed to drive it to move to my new place. Yes, I believe in driver's licenses, and I believe that, yeah, why should you own a car? I mean, you could rent a truck or rent a car, say, if you want to go on some vacation or do something. So, without further ado, here's my video on my take on the sovereign citizen thing and driver's license thing, and dispelling some of the bullshit. There it is. Alright, what's up, yins, guys? Time for another video, and I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this, because this is another fallacy I wanted to get to, with that so-called Wikipedia proper definition of sovereign citizen, the very biased definition, as if it were the only definition. You know why they do that shit, you know, to pick and choose who they want to make look bad, and they want to make them look like a terrorist. And I will remind you, not go on and on about this, but I'll remind you once again in this video that proper definition, they are really people like that. I'm not denying that about the definition, but I disagree sharply on the biased, one-sided aspect of the definition. But anyway, and coming to one subject matter I want to just go ahead and talk about. I'm laughing about this at the same time because I did hear a YouTube video that caught me on to this subject, and I wanted to start talking about this anyway. A police officer that actually had some pretty good stories, that Grady Judd. He was talking about the Moors, the Moorish people, but he has a lot of stories where he even got about crooked police officers doing nefarious things and getting caught, being secretly pedophiles, getting arrested. I mean, but anyway, his subject matter, and there were other subject matter, that people associate sovereign citizens, which those people are that call themselves Moorish, and there's crackheads and all kind of other people following along with that. Yes, they are degenerates. And to not go on and on, just getting right to the point, they talked about people driving around with a car with no license plate on it. You know, they don't feel they have to get a driver's license. Yes, those people exist. I have saw about them. I mean, I can direct you for a YouTube video. A police officer named Grady Judd I happened upon because I looked at a lot of crime-related, everything from serial killers to true crime stuff, and it just came up. But anyway, to make relevant to my ramblings here, which I want to say dispelling a myth, which it's partial myth but yet partial truth. But I'm telling you, I ain't with that shit. Driving a car can be more dangerous than a gun. It can hurt somebody, for one thing. If you want to have a car, you better be fucking careful with it or whatever. And myself, if I identify as some sovereign citizen, right? Try to get through this without telling you my life story. Did I personally, yeah, did get a driver's license for identification reasons, and but I had no intention of ever owning a car. I did run errands for family members or whatever, but that's about it. I didn't want to be graced with the privilege to drive a car to a job or anything like that. I was a different one. Matter of fact, not on here to make a long-winded video about bashing anybody's parents or family members or mine, but this is probably a Western PA thing, where to not bash family members or my mother or anything. It is, they were misled, not to bash them, misled, that they have this view of the world that if you don't want to drive a car or own a car, or if you want to, okay, pay out the ass in your first minimum wage job, you're existing just to own a car, and then how the hell do you get out of the parents' house, get the fuck on your own and get your first lease in your name? Oh, you managed to, yeah, oh yeah, you got to get credit cards and worship credit. I was different than on that. And I'd have to be fair with this. I'd have to make an argument with any of you people turning up your nose or looking down your nose and don't like me. I'd have to say, if I get any of you guys to believe me, you'd have to have a geographical area. Say you want a car and you disagree with me, that's fine. But maybe you want a car and you live in an area, part of a city, no fucking place to park a car, you'd like to have one, take your friends out, and you're flipping your middle finger at me and saying, you know, oh yeah. But anyway, yeah, I had people to a point where they believed, oh, you don't want to jump at the chance, be graced with the chance of being a slave to the Department of Motor Vehicles. Oh, everybody in the world wants that. I mean, people out there, they believe, not to bash your parents or anybody, but they think that how the world thinks is, they might think you're crazy. You might embarrass them, that you're morally and psychologically deficient or deranged. Oh, if you don't want to own a car. But I grew up in the circumstances, okay, me and my mother's stepdad, buying these cars all the time, you know, new used cars, and it was a cycle up in my teenage years. I'm helping them under the car, and they change too. Usually you can get around the engine in different places, put a starter, put a fucking alternator, and different things like that, radiator, and without taking the whole fucking manifold and shit off. I mean, I'm giving you detail. So, yes, I got experience with that too. But saw that it was like a cycle. Okay, yeah, you get a new used car that's pretty expensive. But yet, I grew up in an area where, in western Pennsylvania, industrial jobs, truck driving jobs, you get laid off real easy, ups and downs. So you'd be buying this car, right? And oh, there used to be a time too when I was younger, you used to be able to get a car, I don't know, 1975 Ford or Chevy pickup truck, or Cadillac or LTD or some kind of Buick, old Buick, for a couple of $100 cash. But things changed and regulations have changed, emissions and all that shit. But I got turned off, disenchanted with that. And I do feel sorry for people that need a car to live, because they can't avoid driving way the fuck somewhere just to keep a job, and they're existing just to pay that car or car payments, and they got to live on credit cards just to pay their bills, and then one wrong thing, lay off, have that crashing down. But anyway, yeah, it was like a cycle. New alternator, new this, new that, and then somewhere out of the ordinary, that somewhere eventually, okay, we fix this one more time, or we go shopping for a new car, and then every couple of years the same fucking thing happen again. And it's expensive, and it can be discouraging. Say if you're younger and you have to get you're going to get your own place someday, or you're going to be 20s, 30s living with your parents that you can't stand half the time, but you have some good times, or what the fuck. Or throw it in your face, you don't like this or that, get the fuck out. But then when you go to get the fuck, you said, okay, I will get the fuck out. So, oh, you can't do that. Why? Well, tough, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, okay, yeah, you threaten to throw me out or whatever. But then when time comes to do it, and then you have the controversies, you go beyond the call, pay your way in the house when you're old enough to have the job, which is fair. Then it gets to the point, it's never enough. It's like fucking, it's fucking, okay, you pay your share, and then all of a sudden they want more. It's not just doing the right thing and paying your fair share in the house, you know, so you're not a freeloader, right? It's more like, you have money and I want it, you know. Yeah, you got a stepfather, and you got to wonder, you got the mother that fights at the stepfather, and it's like they try and groom or train you a little bit of time to be their backup provider, because they have to be afraid they gotta put on their face and go somewhere or land a guy or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? I'm just talking about situations, not always my personal one, that friends you have, whether black or white. As a teenager, you pick up on this shit, and you catch wind of certain. But anyway, not to go on about it has costs. Even if you're somebody like me, if you're somebody that don't even fucking like me, you can be, maybe, to be devil's advocate here, you're somebody that doesn't fucking like me, but you're an avid mountain bike person, skateboarder, or whatever the fuck, play video games. Maybe you want a car, but you can't afford it, or no fucking place to park it. My first apartment, too, if I got a car, no fucking place to park it, because people at the restaurant and businesses down here, you got the residential areas over here, and they get pissed off if people park over there. But restaurant parking, restaurant bar over here, across the street down this way, residential areas, like nice houses, the projects on this side. People in the restaurant and bar, when the parking lot's full, they park in front of people's houses. They don't take kindly to that. The kind of areas I lived, I called the borderlines. If you, how I talked about my gang stalking videos, you have two people scrutinize you, two types of people. People live in the projects over here. Oh, you don't buy your drugs from them. You don't do no drugs. Oh, you're probably buying your drugs from someone else, or they're mad because you don't buy no drugs. And then the people on this side, right, looking at you, oh, he all got money in his pocket, all eating out in the restaurant. He must be on dope. And then the other ones are mad because you're not doing the drugs, or probably accusing you of being a snitch for the police, or accuse you for buying your drugs from somebody else but them. Especially when the place that you live in now, probably they were used to, you know, selling their drugs to, but that's a lot of rambling there too. But anyway, yeah, there'll be people saying, yeah, you're morally and psychologically deficient or deranged. And then there's an idea too, you get your first place, or say you do get a car and you stay at your parents' house. Every fucking buddy that acts like you're your friend, they think you're stupid, you know, just like another story up. There'd be another rambling video later, getting your first place. Part of being a sovereign citizen too. Do a separate video on this. Yeah, you get your first place, and all of a sudden people that don't even like you, or don't even know you, or barely know you, think, oh yeah, you're some kind of asshole, or psychologically deficient, or deranged, or probably the word that rhymes with maggot, the gay slur, because you don't want to go out and pick up women and get laid, and you won't host your apartment when you have your first apartment to bring all these fucking people and have parties, and then bring girls in there that so that you look like shit, and then make the mistakes of people that were both I knew, and both enemies. Even some people that looked like me that didn't like me, make them mistakes. Yeah, oh yeah, I really want to do that in my first apartment, bring these people to take advantage of you, you know, to be graced with friends, and then be drinking parties and smoking cigarettes, and they're going to bring their friends that are girls that are underage. Oh yeah, those people that made fun of me back in them days, yeah, look where the fuck they are now. That's a different story. Getting arrested for furnishing booze to minors, and some of them you don't even know who they're bringing. So it's like, fuck that, you know. That's part of being a sovereign citizen. Being a sovereign citizen, the way I see it, is avoiding that shit. Yep, yeah, you may not like me, you think that partying shit is cool, but yeah, you may have a couple of your friends that got busted for furnishing liquor illegal to minors and hosting an apartment. Maybe you didn't know the age of certain people innocently, and your friends may have got busted or arrested, but you still defend that shit. Well, fuck you. You're a dumb fucking idiot. Okay? Yeah, it's a bunch of ramblings anyway, but if you got this far in this video, I think it's a separate video. In the same time, you're avoiding habits, costly habits. Drinking and booze and cigarettes, which, if you're into that all, your so-called friends or people that don't even fucking know you come out of the woodwork. You know, it's almost like they'd smell beer and cigarettes. It's literally smell it, sniff it out. Or if you're at one person that's like I know, not a bad person, that smokes the sweet leaf once in a while, or not into them hard drugs, you know that if you have a beer once in a while or that, it's almost like you could hide it somewhere and people come out of the woodwork almost as if they can sniff it out, you know. It's like, fuck that shit. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. If you're a person that doesn't like me or a different political level, there's a point where, okay, you get out on your own or something, and it could be discouraging or whatever. You get your first job, and yes, costs. Car insurance goes up, and me being somebody without a haircut, walking around like the $1 Million Man, going into a restaurant or maybe that occasional cafe that serves beer, but it's not a bar that they don't want you drinking up. You know, strut in there, and your haters that you went to school with, or certain other younger people that are still in school, give you these dirty looks. So you got this, without a haircut, you got your first job out of minimum wage. You got this far in this video, it's about looking and feeling richer and being easier. You can, everybody else want to buy a car so they can drive people around and make these fake friends. I'm more like people. There was people like that look like me, and matter of fact, that don't get a haircut, that don't like me, that they get their first job out of minimum wage, and they're what I sarcastically call a part of stoner rich or whatever. That, oh, they're jealous of you because I'm buying fancy stereos and different things with the money I'm saving, not buying a car, right, and not having no habits. And hey, they think that they're shit. They're shit. They think they're shit, and they think they're it. They got all these friends, but yet that they would rather be me, and they don't want to admit it. That's why I get dirty ass looks or whatever the hell, or they try to heckle you or whatever. But that's another thing. And so, in other words, if you're somebody that thinks I should get a haircut, there's two types of people like me. I'm on one other side of the tracks. You get the ones like me that I would call hippie rich without the drugs. That's why I didn't get a car. And you get a couple people that, yeah, I think it applies to the other ones that don't like me, that never got a haircut, and people with shorter hair that listen to the rap music, that are, or the long-haired hippies that don't like me. Instead of a hippie rich, they're more like a stoner rich, and that applies to the ones that did get a haircut and think they're better. I was more like, rather be the hippie rich that would rather get nice leather jackets and stereos with all the money I saved without getting a car. And dovetails in with, you don't get some car, even if you do have a car, why have any habits? All right, you want to get a nice car, I mean, don't have the drinking or the drug habits, because maybe you need money to make them fucking car payments or whatever. But yeah. So anyway, if you got this far in this video, what it was to me about the hassles, being a slave to the Department of Motor Vehicles, but yet I feel for the people that have no choice to drive all the way to fuck somewhere just to get a job. And another thing you may want to pay attention if you got this far in this video too, everything varies from state to state. If you ever had to collect unemployment, right, and the conditions of you collecting unemployment, God forbid you get laid off, right, some states that they will allow you to keep collecting your unemployment and not require you. Say if you have to drive too far across the state, you'd have to look that up. I'd have to look it up myself, but varies from state to state, and I'm pretty sure my state, say you're supposed to be looking for a job. If the job is way too far, you do get leniency. I mean, you know, there's a point where if you get a job that's fucking minimum wage, and even a little bit above minimum wage and no overtime, you got the price of gas, the price of gasoline, even with the price of gasoline like 20 plus years ago, which was cheaper than now, you spend a pretty good amount of money, your cash in a tank, and you're existing just to make them car payments, just to keep up with the Joneses, have some nice car. Or if you're younger, just to drive around with your gangster music. If you're a white leftist pseudo gangster beta male, wants to drive around in some car you can't barely afford, just to keep up some image, or drive your parents' Toyota Corolla or a Honda Civic and act like you're driving a fucking sports car or something. Act like you're all badass. It's just your parents' car. Same way I make fun of short-haired fat chicks that are hipster fat chicks that turned up their nose at me back in my younger days. But yeah, slip that in. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, I figured get those things out of the way because, yeah, that makes a big difference. But if you want to get this far in this video, even if you're somebody that don't like me, maybe you want a car, it could be geographic circumstances. You live in some city in your first apartment that there's no place to fucking park a car, and people in the businesses take your parking spaces, and people in the residential area down here, like I said. And yeah, your circumstances, for whatever reason, a mixture of that and financial circumstances. Maybe you want a car, you can't, or it's not practical. Hey, I live next to an industrial park that was 2 miles from me. If I'm late, I can take a bus. And there was one time I actually, railroad tracks across from the highway, I walked to work. I was kind of late, and then I got across the highway when car traffic calmed down. I was like, oh, gonna run late, I'm gonna get hell. So I got on the slow-moving train and rode that sucker, and pretty much did a pretty rough roll down on the ground when I jumped off it because it went a little faster. But that's another story. I won't. But yes, I have done that, and I'm laughing now. I'm not just telling a story here. I'm laughing at that too. Not a joke. I could have ended up having arms and legs and skull in a cast or whatever too. But anyway, yeah, I rebelled against that bullshit because people trying to say you're mentally and psychologically deficient or deranged, like it's normal or something. And, well, look, right now I'm still waiting. Nobody coming to cart me away to take me to a jail or a mental hospital for being against getting a car or not getting a car and laughing about it. Has its cost, and where the fuck do you need to go every day? Really, I mean, you can do your shopping shit now. Got a local store over here, a nice neighborhood that I upgraded it now. What the fuck do I... Yeah. Realistically, these days, even if you're somebody that doesn't like me, even has more money than me, the price of cars, gasoline, you're fucking existing. You're living on credit, you're existing just to have even a halfway decent car. Because like back in the unlike back in the late 1980s, with the regulations, you can't even get a beat-up car for like a couple $100s and get away with it anymore. There's too much regulations in some of our states on that shit, so that's definitely out. I mean, if you got this far in this video, how discouraging that could be. And fuck that. I ain't paying that kind of money. It's just fucking existing. Oh, and yeah, live on credit, make car payments, and fake it. You're barely making it. You're living on credit. You go get laid off someday, but you have a fake persona. Yeah, you got this nice car and got it going on. And maybe some of you young punks staring at me, turn up your nose at this video. Oh yeah, you go ahead and sell your marijuana or sell your pills or whatever because you want to legalize all drugs and fucking... oh yeah, sell those. Sell those to people with low... Prey on people's low self-esteem and sell them pills and drugs and drive around like you're shit in a... Yeah, there are people that all walks of life doing that. I ain't picking on anybody because they're black or because they're a pseudo-gangster beta male. You got rednecks doing that, selling to other rednecks with lesser self-esteem. Black on black dealing. Yeah, and that's a separate rambling video about claiming personal sovereignty and your own sense of self-esteem by not buying people's drugs, right? So... yeah, if people will tell me, oh yeah, get off the drugs because they don't listen to the whole video. Get a haircut, get off the drugs. I'm like, excuse me? Those drugs that you buy off of those assholes so that they can look down on you and act like they're it and like they're all badass and look down their nose at you. prey on low self-esteem that you, yeah, they eat up that shit. Try pretend to be your friends, and then, but they eat up that shit. You know, they'll love your desperation. They love it when you sell all your stuff because you're dependent on them drugs. Yeah, yep. Buying, the doing and buying of drugs, that's another enemy of your personal self-esteem and your sense of sovereignty and this idea of a sovereign citizen, how I see it, how the right way to see it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is a big ramble. You know, I really should timestamp parts of it. Yeah, if you get this far in this video, you want to timestamp stuff I said and make comments to prove to me that on something you disagree with this. Otherwise, just go fuck a goddamn porcupine. I don't care about your troll comments, really. I'm just trying to straighten some of y'all out and give you something that, even if you don't like me, give you something that you can consider. I mean, how to get around and how to get over. Oh, and what do I know, right? I'm also some smart ass who, in 2020, when all the rioting, when everybody was rooting for the rioters and vandals, I put my stock in openly on social media condemning the destruction of businesses, because I knew when I upgraded to my new place, potential landlords look on social media to see if you're a danger to their property. I just slipped that in. If you got this far in this video, shows me I'm smarter than you. You don't like me? Look where I am now, and where the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's it.